All right, guys, we're live here. Thanks for tuning in. It's 5 o'clock on Friday, so I got a good tip for you guys today. So basically, we're going to talk about today how to get a PhD in a year. So basically, this is the premise. If you could read 52 books in 1 year on one subject and how retention rate go up from 55% to 95%, then essentially you'd have enough knowledge that a PhD doctor would have just without the applications. Then you just have to go out and apply everything that you've learned, right? Okay, so basically, over the last month and a half, I put together these 3 secrets of how you'd be able to do this. First of all, the first secret is basically has to do with how books are written and how every single story goes. So first, it's called an Epiphany Bridge script. I learned this from Russell Brunson, or it's called the hero's journey, and it works like this. In every single story, there is your subject, which is your hero, basically who they are, what they're doing, their backstory. Then there's going to be a desire that they want, and then there's the conflict. And that conflict is what causes emotion, and then getting to that desire is kind of like that epiphany moment that everybody reads the whole book through to get to. So basically, in every single book, they have this script that it climaxes in the middle, right? And then it kind of drops off and has a resolution, and you learn what the hero learned at the very end of the book, and you also learn, like, number 1, like, he got his goal, and number 2, he went through this transformation as he went through this journey. So within, like, self-help books and textbooks, they'd use this same hero's journey and epiphany bridge script to teach you principles that you need in your life. So what you can do is if you just get rid of all the emotion in it, so basically the conflict part, and you just look at like what you need to learn, then you're not going to waste as much time. So that's the first thing. It's the first secret is the Epiphany Bridge script, or also known as the hero's journey. So if you know about that, then you'll be able to understand how to apply the second secret. The second secret is called speed reading. Okay, so this is how I do it. So within all of these books, you have all these little Epiphany Bridge scripts, and they're trying to teach you and help you feel emotion between every lesson you learn. Well, besides feeling emotion in your memory, you can just link those things and then be able to remember them without the emotion tied to it. So this is how it works. So for me, I'll take a book. So let's take .com Secrets, one of my favorite books of all time. And this is kind of the outline that I follow, but what I would do is first just like look over the whole book to understand obviously what you're going to learn about, make sure this is the subject that you need, look up some reviews and see if it's even worth your time. Next, I skip all the acknowledgments and the forward and all this stuff. It's not important, and I go straight to the introduction. So basically, you're going to read through the introduction. So let's see here. Okay, the introduction, it's 10 pages long. So this would probably take me about 5 minutes to read the whole introduction, really let it sink in. And then after I read the introduction, I'm going to just write a summary in my notebook that I'm keeping right next to me. This is what happened in the introduction, okay? Then you're going to skip to the very end of the book, go to the last chapter. The last chapter is 8 pages, so you're going to read those 8 pages. Once you're done with those 8 pages, you're going to write down what you learned. Okay, so that gives you like the beginning and end. You got to see the whole journey of what went on through this book. Now you're going to go through each chapter, and you're going to read the first and last paragraph and write down what you learned. And then you're going to go through every single paragraph after that and just read the first paragraph or the first sentence in each paragraph and see if it has anything to do or if it teaches you anything that ties back into what you learned in the first paragraph and the last paragraph of the chapter. If it doesn't, don't read it because it doesn't have anything to do with it, and it's just a story to help you gain that same epiphany that hero is having or that subject is having. But you can still learn the lessons, write down the lessons in the book, and all of a sudden you have the summary of the book, and then you have some main points of each chapter with a summary of each chapter. Okay, so first we got the Epiphany Bridge script with the hero's journey. Second, we have speed reading. And lastly, I learned this in my psychology class and also on my mission, but our memory, how many of you guys have seen SpongeBob? I don't know if you guys have seen that episode where SpongeBob he's basically trying to relearn a whole bunch of stuff, and there's a part in the episode where he goes into his memory, and you kind of see like how his memory and his brain works, and it's a whole bunch of like file cabinets, right? And each file cabinet has a specific purpose. So he would take like his memory or whatever he needed to remember, throw it in the file cabinet. Anyway, in the episode, at some point, he just went through some of these files and started checking them out, and there was like a fire going on and all this crazy stuff. But that's kind of how our brain works when it records memories. So basically, it works like this. Whenever we learn something, we need to like process it, obviously, encode it, and then like send it to our brain. Then every time we review it through that retrieval process, it makes that muscle memory, the memory, even stronger. So you're gonna like learn it first, it encodes it, then you retrieve it, makes it stronger, and retrieve it again, makes it even stronger. So basically, I went through and studied at what points is the best time to retrieve a memory so that it stays and you can remember it. So in this study, their subjects went from a 55% retention rate up to a 95% retention rate when they did this. So what they would do is they would read or learn something. An hour later, they would review it. So they would go over what they learned. And then a day later, they would review it again. And then a week later, they would review it again. And then a month later, they would review it again. And if they did that process of a day, a week, a month, then they would be able to, and an hour after, they'd be able to remember it 95% of the time. So if you apply those three things, the hero script or the hero's journey, then speed reading with that retention, that's how you'd be able to read 52 books in a year. It wouldn't take you an hour and a half every single day for a week to finish a book. You could finish a book in a day. Yesterday I read a whole book on marketing. I was able to finish like a 305-page book. It took me 30 minutes. I was able to write everything down, reviewed my notes an hour later, reviewed my notes today. In a week, I'm going to review it again. Then in a month, I'm going to review it again. It's just set on an alarm during my study time each day to go back and review it. So hopefully this, guys, will help you out. Talked about a little bit of communication, a little bit of psychology today. Talked a little bit about also how you can apply it and help you out. So if you guys liked today's video, make sure you go and give me a suggestion for next week's video. I have an idea of what I want to share, but I want to know what you guys are looking for, and I hope this helps you guys out.